Hi, everybody. Welcome to In the Flow podcast. I am so excited to have a friend and somebody who's actually coached me, somebody who I have coached in my spiritual life coaching business as well. We go way back. She is now a Whole30 certified coach, Ashley Parek. And I'm so excited to be here, Ash, with you. Yay!
Yay! Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. This is such an honor, and it's so crazy. We were just talking about how everything kind of comes full circle. So I know we've worked together in the past, and it's just, yeah, I'm so excited to be here. So thank you for having me.
Yeah. Ashley was my Whole30 coach in the beginning of 2020. And that has been totally life-changing for me, right? Especially for my relationship with food and to my body and everything like that. But I'm going to kind of hand it over to Ashley to kind of talk a little bit about her story with food and Whole30 and everything else. Just kind of dive in a little bit.
Yeah. So, gosh, where to even start? So a little bit about me. My name is Ashley Parek. I am a Whole30 certified coach. I'm coming up on my 2-year coaching anniversary. Whole30, I like to start with that because that was kind of the beginning catalyst for so much change in my life. And it has really taught me how to love myself, how to take better care of myself. It has improved my mental health. And we can dive into Whole30 in a little bit, but I just like to start, by saying that because it really was such a big change for me. And it is a factor into a lot of the things that I'm so passionate about today. So I am a self-care advocate, a self-love advocate, and a mental health advocate, along with a Whole30 coach. And those are things that are super important to me. Through food, I have learned to love myself and take care of myself and know my worth and my value. Of course, along with many other things like working with Jesse was catalyst number 2 for change in my life. But really for me, it started with food. And so that's kind of where Whole30 comes into play. So I stumbled across Whole30, I don't know, 2016 maybe. So not even a couple years ago, a few years ago, a while back. And I, dove right into the program. It's essentially a 30-day elimination reset. And it works with you on changing your relationship with food. And for me, I had been reading about the program, and there was a lot of information about, people saying that their mental health had improved, their relationship with food was different, and it just really piqued my interest. So I read up about it, I dove right in, I completed 30 days, and wow, was that a game changer for me.
It really is. I mean, it's so crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. And still, 6 years later, 5 years later, however long it's been, it still blows my mind the long-lasting impact it has had on my life just by changing what I put on my plate. So that's a little bit of like background, I guess, on me. I go on and on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like one of the main reasons I wanted to have you on here and have this conversation is because, this podcast is heavily listened to by women, and our relationship to food is just something that I feel like, a high majority of women either struggle with their relationship with food or their relationship to their body and kind of all of that. And one of the probably most life-changing things that I experienced around my relationship with food was that, like, when I was eating nutrient dense whole foods, I felt better about myself. Like, all of my body image issues completely, like, I would look in the mirror and I wouldn't change, but I would feel so much better in my body that I wouldn't have that kind of negative feeling attached to it. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. When you are fueling your body, it's just another way of loving your body, right? You're treating your body with so much love and kindness and awareness that it settles inside of you. The same thing, same experience happened to me. A lot of that negative self-talk is still out the window. You know, whenever you're fueling your body the right way, it's incredible how it all kind of envelopes together, you know, loving yourself, loving what you're putting in your body, right?
Yeah, and it definitely it was so weird because it's like, as soon as you start kind of eating to love your body and eating to fuel your body rather than just eating whatever, like all of a sudden you realize like, I don't know, I had so much more energy. And like one of the things that you do in Whole30 is you eliminate sugar. And so with that, like I remember tasting a strawberry for the first time after like a week, and I was just like, oh my God. I like the
The best strawberry I've
natural,
ever had.
like, yeah, like the natural kind of like essence and all of that. One thing I actually I have something that people have said to me that I'm actually curious what your take on it is, that just kind of came into my mind, was like, what would you say to people if they say like something like this is like too restrictive for them, and they feel like it's something that, it's just like, I don't know, like it just seems like it's too difficult or too restrictive?
So with restriction, so I think there's a really big difference between too challenging and too restrictive. The word, and let me preface also that I am not a licensed medical professional. If Whole30 is something that you are interested in, it is extremely important to get clearance from your physician first. So just so everyone knows, I am not a doctor, unfortunately. And I say that because the word restriction is kind of like a trigger word, because for some people, maybe with any type of experience with, disordered eating or something like that, it can be a little triggering. And so that's why I always say, like, you absolutely want to work with your doctor. In other instances, I think when you approach it as you are working to change your relationship with food, and if you are feeling like having thoughts of feeling restricted, that to me would be a sign that maybe you do need to work on your relationship with food. Like food shouldn't be looked at as a restricting thing. There's not any like, you're not calorie counting, we're not counting macros, you're not putting food into little containers, you're not, you're not restricting the amount of food that you eat. You are
I
just
ate so much more. I ate so much more when I was on Whole30 than I ever ate, and lost weight, which was wild, which was not the idea. The idea was to, change my relationship to food. But, that was a byproduct of that. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's an added bonus, right?
Yeah.
But right. I eat way more food when I'm doing a round of Whole30 than I do otherwise. Because yeah, you're not limiting the amount of food that you have. You're just focusing on removing commonly problematic foods from your diet for 30 days. You are supposed to reintroduce those removed foods after the 30 days. You're kind of doing a science experiment on yourself, right? To reintroduce these potentially problematic foods and to see how they affect you. So, with regards to it being a little too restrictive, I would invite someone who maybe has that mindset to think of it as an opportunity to focus on eating nutrient dense foods. You can always have the cupcake later, you can always bring it back, and just focus on fueling your body in a way that feels good for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that too, because it's such a game changer. And, I think that just talking about food in general, it's like we have a society that everything in our world has changed so dramatically, so quickly, and has become so processed and all of these other things. And we're having increases in sugar and fluctuations in our moods and all of these things. And we don't necessarily tend to relate that to food. Right. We're like, that's not like a common, like, oh, it must be what I'm eating that's making me, feel poorly, like not even about yourself, but just feel poorly in general, if it's not something, but it's like, there are certain things that like our bodies just don't jive that well with. And like, this is like a place where we get an opportunity to like identify what those are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that also kind of brings up the power that we allow food to have over us. I know we have talked quite a bit about guilt and shame around our food choices. And I think that's just a good opportunity to kind of mention, you know, we allow food to have so much power over us. And once we remove that, once we decide that we are not going to give food that much power over us, so many things can change, right? I mean, that's a game changer when it comes to your relationship with food.
100%. One thing I've learned like so well from you was, you know, there are no good or bad foods,
Yep.
right? Like
that's just thinking about that.
Such a key. That's like to sit down and really just be like, you know, this isn't bad, right? There's no good or bad foods. And like once I kind of started to see it, but there is what I choose to fuel my body with. And like just changing that way of thinking for me, I realized that, you know, it was in self-love that I was, you know, really allowing myself that French fries some days, and also, you know, choosing to, you know, have lots of avocado and chicken on other days or whatever it was, right? Like it doesn't have to be just this.
Yeah. And also, like you said, it's just a choice. So it's just food and it's just a choice. You make a choice and that's it. And you move on to the next one. So for me also, that really helped with being able to eliminate guilt and shame around my food choices. When you remove the power that food has over you, like we eat to live, we don't live to eat, right? And you just recognize that you're just making a choice, and you can always make a different choice the next time. You know, maybe easier said than done, but it really is quite simple. It's just a choice. You just make a different one. You just make another one the next time.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that can take the pressure out. You know, it's like you eat one bad thing and then you eat bad for the rest of the day. Bad, right? Quote unquote bad. But identifying like there aren't good or bad, and we just made this one choice, and then the next meal we can make another, or like whatever it is. We're like giving ourselves that freedom and that autonomy. Just, you know, I mean, it is what it is. Like it's not good or bad.
Right. It's just a choice. It's just a food. It's not a good food or a bad food. It's just food.
Yeah. I love that. That's definitely changed my life. And just kind of like for clarity's sake, for the listeners, like Whole30 is a 30-day reset. So I think that's one other thing that I think always needs clarity, is that it's not a diet.
It is
right.
Not.
And that is something that I think people misinterpret about it a lot, is that it's not a diet, it's a reset. So it's for 30 days, you do something, you eliminate certain things, and then you add them back in to reset your body to identify what is working and what isn't. But it's not something that's meant to be, you know, it's not a diet, right? It's not something that's meant to be eaten that way all the time.
Right. Yeah. And that's a super, super important call out. It is just an elimination reset. It is a reset. It is a 30-day reset. It is not encouraged or advised for you to eat a Whole30 elimination reset like food forever. That's not the point of the program. That's not the point.
Right.
A lot of things that we really work on, once you reintroduce, you know, the foods that you have eliminated, then we work on navigating what that looks like for you in the future. And that's what we call food freedom. Like you live in this freedom where there's no such thing as guilt or shame. You just make choices. You know, based off of the elimination, what foods might trigger some problems for you. Like maybe dairy makes your face break out. You know, maybe gluten gives you a headache. I know that's certainly the case for me. Whenever I have gluten, I am instantly tired and have a headache. Will I still eat gluten occasionally? Absolutely. I just go in knowing that I'm making this choice. I know how this choice is going to affect me, and that's fine. And I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Then move on.
Yeah. It's so crazy for me too, because before, you know, I did Whole30, I didn't realize that I was living kind of in a partially functional body. Like I was fully functional, don't get me wrong, but like I felt so good after eliminating and then figuring out that now like my choices and the choices that I get to make, I mean, honestly, it's helped balance my hormones personally. And it's really helped me like maintain a really good, positive relationship with my body that feels like we're we're communicating, which is like, essentially that's what this podcast is all about, right? It's about creating a relationship with your body that feels really nourishing and really good, you know? Yeah. It's been a journey, but it's been a good one. And I think that, you know, Whole30 isn't for everyone. That's not what this is about, but this is just a kind of about talking about like food and how good it is, and how, you know, and how all of the different ways that we as humans can over prioritize and, you know, make too big of a deal out of it, and how we can learn from it and how we can fuel ourselves, you know, from it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, I just had a thought and it just went like right out. It will come to me.
That's okay. So in terms of like your relationship with food and different things like that, do you have any like daily tips or tricks or anything that you feel like could really help somebody just create that more cohesive, loving relationship towards food and towards their body and bring that all together?
Yes. So there are, and this is something that has developed over time for me, but little micro habits that I have like picked up on that are now part of just like my everyday life. There are certain things. One, I'm always interested in looking at ingredient labels. So whenever I am out shopping, you know, I will look for, you know, like a salad dressing, for example. If I'm out shopping for salad dressing, I am all about looking at ingredient labels. There is so much added sugar in things that you have no idea why the heck they put sugar in there, but it's in there. Everything. So that's, you know, really something like a daily ongoing habit that I'm just really aware of. Like I would maybe pick a salad dressing that doesn't have any extra like dextrose or added sugar in it, just making that choice, you know, personal choice. A lot of the food, like, you know, condiments, little like snack foods that I keep in my house are Whole30 compatible. I choose not to have certain food in the house because it can be a trigger for me. Like there's things that if it's going to be worth it, like I need to go out and get it, you know. I also will carry salad dressing in my purse. I know because of COVID, you know, haven't been going out nearly as much, but I am a really big fan of what I like to say, #purse dressing, because there's just a lot of salad dressings that have a lot of added stuff in them. And I personally prefer the taste of, you know, something a little more clean. So I always keep it on me. And just keeping like healthy snacks on you, like just throwing them in your gym bag, you know, any like a meat stick or anything like that, an RX bar, always just having some healthy snacks on hand. So you always have the choice between something maybe a little more healthy or, you know, whatever it is being presented to you. Like always give yourself that choice so that you're never stuck in a situation, you know, if you're really trying hard to clean up your eating where you don't have anything on hand. You're like, well, rats, guess I'm going to eat this bag of chips now because I don't have anything else. So I think that that's a, you know, good piece of advice. Just carry snacks on you so that you're always prepared just in case, so that you can make that choice. Give yourself the option.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that, yeah, for me too, it's like, you know, when I'm buying groceries, I have a lot, I can make choices and then bring them back here so that I make better choices when I'm back now. And then, you know, maybe I let myself go out to eat and splurge a little bit more, but different things that we can do to just kind of create, to nourish our body. And I think that that's like the biggest thing for me. It's just like, this isn't about doing things a certain way, but it's about feeling nourished, feeling energized, feeling able to interact with your day appropriately, feeling able to feel like, you know, your blood sugars aren't all over the place and you're constantly trying to stabilize, you know, different things like that we don't even realize are impacting our mental health and are impacting our relationships, you know?
Yeah. And it is really interesting the impact that processed foods can have on your mental health. Speaking from my own personal experience, cleaning up my eating has made a tremendous impact in my mental health. I am one that has anxiety, depression, ADD. when I nourish my body in a way that feels good for me, my symptoms are significantly lower. They're significantly less than if I am on a very high sugar diet. I'm consuming a lot of sugar. That was something prior to starting Whole30. I was living off of sugar-free monsters and like Snickers every day. And I'm not joking, like that was my food. Or maybe I'd eat ice cream in the morning. I was living off of sugar and I was in such a horrible place mentally. My brain fog was so thick, I could not focus. I couldn't get anything done. It'd be hard to get out of bed, feeling really anxious. And once I started to really be mindful of what I was putting in my body, it seriously changed significantly. Of course, I worked with my doctor and we were able to, work on different like medication level changes. And, I haven't gone back to, high doses of medications in the last, 5 years, which has been an incredible victory for me. Just being able to effectively manage what I'm eating has really, really improved my mental health. And that has been like the greatest win for me, besides for learning how to actually love myself. It all kind of goes, hand in hand, but such a big win for me personally.
Yeah, totally. I feel that so deeply because it's empowering to listen to your body and to intuitively choose foods that your body's asking for, and so it's like that's a huge thing too, is like once we create that connection, I remember one time you saying like I'm craving lettuce. Like how like that idea to people would be like so out there, like you're craving lettuce, but it's like, yeah, like when your body knows the kind of nutrients that it's getting from them, like they're calling those in.
I need vegetables right now. Like, I haven't had vegetables all day. My body's like, please give me some greens. And that's a very real thing. I mean, it sounds absolutely ridiculous. And even listening to you say it, it makes me laugh because anyone really crave lettuce? But the answer is yes. Your body just, it thrives. That's how we thrive. I could talk about it all day. I'm just so passionate about it because it's just been such a game changer for me and so many other people that I've worked with as well. It's just been incredible, just by changing what you eat. The ripple effect that has on literally everything.
Ooh, the ripple effect, that's my jam. The ripple effect going on to the world and changing. Actually, I have a friend who just did a Whole30 and her boyfriend was like, I love you. I loved you before, but like, I love you so much. Like, you're always in a good mood. Like, this is great. Like, it was amazing. Also, like how not only is this, and this is something that I'm huge on in general, is like, not only is this really good for our own physical vessel, but the ripple effect, like the people outside of us that are going to be able to like, it's empowering to see somebody just take such radical responsibility for their health and well-being and take such ability to just kind of empower themselves to reset and to do this for themselves. And for me, honestly, too, one major thing that happened through doing this 30-day reset was my relationship with alcohol totally changed. Totally changed. And I've always been a social drinker. Honestly, I'm a little bit of a party animal, if I'm being completely frank. But that, I should say I was, because, I literally, since doing, and I did 2 Whole30s in 2020 actually. And since doing the second one, I literally barely touch alcohol because it has such an intense effect on me, because my tolerance is lower, my body just feels better all the time. So many things that it's just not worth it. And like, I also didn't realize the amount of anxiety I was living with from alcohol, Anxiety, real thing.
That's something, that I'm still actively working on. I have significantly cut back my drinking, I would say by like 85% at least. Compared to like what I was. And also that maybe comes with being a little bit older, I'm definitely not a spring chicken. I'm not 21 anymore, but that just knowing that you don't have to have alcohol to be social and to have a good time is really, really empowering. Hangovers now are the absolute worst. It's not like a morning headache. It's like 4 days and I'm like, I cannot function. Where is my brain? So that really, I agree with you totally. It's been, that's been a big change for me too.
Yeah. And, I think that, beyond everything that it's supposed to do, for me, it was an empowering thing that I could make a decision and stick to it for 30 days, for 30 days twice in 1 year, in the craziest year ever, that I could make this choice and do this for me. And that in itself was something that I probably, before, if I would have ever like looked into this program, which I had, and I had all the excuses why I couldn't do it and this and that. But like just doing that, after doing it once, I was like, I want to do it again, and now like I'm planning an April Whole30 because holla, and I just, it's just something that's changed my life, and you've changed my life, so dramatically. We have this beautiful flow of just, being little portals for expansion for each other.
Yeah, it's been, can I talk about that for a minute?
Yeah.
Okay. So because I think it's really important to talk about like how we are sitting here together right now. So, Jesse said at the beginning of the podcast that we go way back, and we've known each other since we were very small. We lived in the same town. We both don't live there anymore, which is fine. But, we reconnected after, I don't even know, a really long time.
20 years.
20 years at least. I had been following Jesse on Instagram, and it just, I was in a not that great place. My depression was really bad. My anxiety was really bad. I was in a job that I was extremely unhappy with, and I just felt very stuck. And I had seen Jesse on Instagram, and I just felt this pull that was like, you need to message her. Like, she seems like she's going to be really good for you. Like, this is going to be really good for you just to talk to her. So I did. I sent her a DM on Instagram, and we started talking. And the rest is history. But oh my gosh, it's just really cool how it all unfolded. Jesse worked with me one-on-one. I joined one of the first groups that she led, our Fearless Authenticity group. From that point of starting her group, I actually lost the job that I hated, which is a very big blessing. I lost my job. She was a huge supporter in me becoming Whole30 certified. Ashley, follow your passion. Ashley, you need to do what you're passionate about. Get the certification, invest in yourself. You are worth doing this. Do this for yourself. I paid my coaching certification fee. The next day I lost my job. 2 months later, I became a Whole30 certified coach. And it just, my relationship with myself, trusting myself, Jesse encouraged me, like, put myself out there, walked me through doing my first Instagram story. And this was like 2 years ago. And now, I have a platform, and I have, people that want to hear what I have to say. And it's just incredible. I, got my certification, and then Jesse was one of my Whole30 clients. So it's just such a beautiful relationship that we have had, all because just trusting that intuition. And I know, Jesse, you talk about this so much, and it's so important, like, just to follow that pull. And that was such an important thing that I did. Just listening to my intuition just that one time really flipped the script for me. And so it's just really cool to be here.
Yeah. It's so cool. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for your presence. And like, when you popped into, what I was doing on Instagram and everything like that, like I was brand new. So you were actually probably one of my first one-on-one clients that I ever had too. And then the beautiful, it was just such a beautiful experience. Fearless Authenticity, such a great program. I'm like speaking about myself, but it was like so good. And the women in it were so fierce. Like, it was so good. But then I remember when you were running your Whole30 group, and I looked at it, like she had like posted something on Instagram, and I looked at it and I got this like very, I don't know if you know about human design, but I have a splenic authority in human design. And I got this very like, like you have to do this. And I was like, and my mind went in all these circles of like, I couldn't do it. I don't have time. So-and-so is probably coming then, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't let that deter me. And I just did it. And yeah, I mean, hands down, probably one of the best decisions I ever made for my relationship to myself as well. So it's awesome to just consistently have people in your life who are like, it's like that back and forth of just love and growth and expansion. And yeah, it's so awesome.
It's so special. You can like put it in a bottle and cherish it.
Yeah.
I mean, working with you, doing that digging, the hard work of, some soul searching, some forgiveness and letting go and really learning to trust myself. Like I said, that was catalyst number 2 in change for me. And oh my God, my life is completely different. I mean, every aspect of my life is different in the best way.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Oh. Yeah, it's really amazing. And I'm so proud of you I'm just so proud of you for everything that you've accomplished and for all of this whole 30 stuff and how successful you are. But for more than that, like you beam with confidence and radiance. And I'm just so grateful to be in your life. And I'm so grateful for you to honor me on this podcast. Like, it's awesome. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. I love you so much. And I'm so proud of you. It's just so fun. It's so fun to watch your friends kick ass. I don't know if we're allowed to say ass on the podcast.
Hell yeah.
Just good.
Hell yeah. Empowered women, empower women. Yeah. That's what's up.
So I am here for it. And it's so freaking cool just to watch your friends go out and just kick ass. I love it.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashley, so much for being here. Thank you guys for listening to this episode of the podcast. It was a pleasure to share this conversation with you. And if you have any questions or inquiries about Whole30, I will drop Ashley's information in the show notes, or you can reach out to me. Thank you guys. Bye.